Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday edition Sports Report. I'm Sportscaster 89 on my YouTube channel. So, going to do the rundown of the college basketball highlights from yesterday as the Sweet 16 is all set, guys. Like I said, the Sweet 16 is all set. We're going to do recaps of all the games that happened yesterday. So, without further ado, Sportscaster 89 here. Going to run down the highlights from yesterday's action in the second round as we are now down to the Sweet 16 on Saturday and Sunday this week on CBS and TBS this week. So don't forget, you guys, Sweet 16 action is this weekend on Saturday and Sunday on CBS, with starting at 2 o'clock with the road to the Final Four on Saturday. And then you have a game around 2:15. We will dive into the matchups. So without further ado, we'll run down the highlights from yesterday's action. In college hoops, man, it was a lot of great games yesterday. As the second round wrapped up yesterday, Oregon, the Ducks from the Pac-12, as the Pac-12 continues to be undefeated. They're 9-0 in this NCAA tournament, beating Iowa yesterday by 15, 95-80. The number one Gonzaga Bulldogs survive against Oklahoma. They win by 16, 87-71. UCLA defeats Abilene Christian, the 14 seed, by 20, 67-47. The Ohio Bobcats, their run comes to an end as Creighton defeats Ohio yesterday by 14, 72-58. LSU and Michigan in a great battle last night. LSU did a tremendous job. They were down by 1 at half, but could not finish it up in the second half. They lose this one by 8 to Michigan, 86-78. Florida State gets the win over Colorado, the 5 seed. They win by 18, 71-53. Alabama defeats Maryland 96-77. And USC with a blowout victory over Kansas by 34, 85-51. Now, you guys, here are the schedule of games as we get started with the Sweet 16 over the weekend. So, like I said, you guys, this weekend is Sweet 16 action. We'll run down these matchups. I'll repeat these multiple times. So, like I said, you guys, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm Sportscaster89. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm asking for donations so I can continue to inform you guys on what's going on in and around the sports world, entertain you guys on what's going on, and also educate you guys. Those are the three facets of my sports reports: to inform you, to entertain you, and educate you on what's going on in and around the sports world. So not only am I doing college basketball today, I'm also going to do some NBA as well today. I'm going to preview the games that are going on tonight as well, because you have an NBA Tuesday doubleheader on TNT tonight. You have the Pelicans and Lakers, followed by the Warriors and Sixers from Chase Center in San Fran. It's an NBA Tuesday doubleheader on TNT. First game of the night is the Lakers, the defending champions, taking on the Pelicans from New Orleans, followed by the Sixers out west to take on the Golden State Warriors from Chase Center in San Francisco. So I'll preview all of those in a matter of moments. But like I said, we are continuing with college basketball and the Sweet 16 matchups that are starting on Saturday. Once again, you guys, Sweet 16 games are on Saturday. So I know everybody's bracket is pretty much busted with all these upsets, but the Sweet 16 is just going to be more exciting. These games could go either way. So like I said, you guys, let's get ready for the Sweet 16. We're going to preview all these games. We're going to start with Oregon State. They'll take on Loyola Chicago at 2:40 on CBS. Followed by at 5:15 on Saturday, it's Villanova and Baylor. Once again, Villanova and Baylor, 5:15 on CBS as the Sweet 16 will get underway. Saturday on TBS at 7:25, it's the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles from the Summit League, the Cinderella team. They will take on the Arkansas Razorbacks, the 3 seed. So the 15, the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles out of Summit League. They defeated Florida. They defeated Ohio State. Now let's see if they can defeat another SEC team for the second consecutive time. They've already played Arkansas this season, and Oral Roberts, I believe, won that game. This was earlier on in the college basketball regular season, so these two teams know each other very, very well. So let's see if Oral Roberts, the Golden Eagles from the Summit League, can pull off another shocker against Arkansas, which they've already played in the college basketball regular season. Non-conference wise, these two teams are familiar with one another. They've already played earlier, so we'll see if Arkansas can pick up some tendencies on Oral Roberts. You have Max Amos and you have O'Bannon for Oral Roberts. They are really tremendous players, so I highly suggest you watch this game on Saturday night on CBS, 7:25. Oral Roberts, of 15, against Arkansas, the 3 from the SEC. And then to wrap up the Sweet 16 slate on Saturday, it'll be number 11 Syracuse, the Orange out of the ACC. They'll take on the 2 seed, the Houston Cougars, the champions of the American Athletic Conference tournament. So the 2 seed Houston Cougars against the 11 seed Syracuse Orange. That's on Saturday to wrap up the Sweet 16 slate. So that's on TBS at 9:55 Eastern. I'll run down through these as well again for you all. So, and Sunday we start on CBS with Creighton, the 5th seed. They will take on Gonzaga. Gonzaga is undefeated on the season at 27-0. They're trying to become the first team since the Indiana Hoosiers back in 1975-76 to go undefeated and win the entire thing. No team has ever done it before, so Gonzaga's trying to make history. So we'll see if they can do it against Creighton. To me, I am going with Gonzaga over Creighton. I just think Creighton's run's going to come to an end. Zagorowski's done a tremendous job for Creighton, but to me, Zagorowski's going to need help in this game on Saturday if you're going to beat Gonzaga. You cannot slow down Gonzaga. They're so good offensively. Like I said, Gonzaga averages over 92 points per game, which is first in college basketball. So if you're Creighton, you can't slow down. You can't slow down Gonzaga. You can't go up and down with these guys. So if you can get them to play some kind of half-court offense, maybe you have a chance, but you can't slow this team down. They're so talented. Like I said to you guys in the college basketball preview show that I did for March Madness, I said to you guys earlier this month that Gonzaga is so dominant. They have so much talent on their team, on their squad. They have Drew Timme. They have Andrew Nembhard. They have Jalen Suggs. They have Corey Kispert. Like I said, Corey Kispert is a West Coast Conference Player of the Year. Like I said, Gonzaga is the best team in college basketball right now. They're so dominant. They're like the Duke of the West Coast because they recruit so very, very well. Like I said, they have so much talent on that team. You have Andrew Nembhard, like I said, from Florida transfer. You have Jalen Suggs. You have Drew Timme. And you have Corey Kispert. You have Ayayi as well for Gonzaga. I'm telling you guys, watch out for the Zags this weekend against Creighton in Sweet 16 on Sunday. That's going to be the Sunday slate on CBS. And then here's the big matchup right here that everybody needs to look forward to. Florida State will play Michigan, the 4 versus 1. FSU has been good all season long under Leonard Hamilton. Michigan's been phenomenal under Coach Juwan Howard, who used to play with the Fat Five, who was also with the Miami Heat assistant coaching staff as well. So this should be a really interesting matchup. To me, it's going to come down to Florida State size against Michigan. I'll say this again. It's going to come down to Florida State shooting the basketball because they shoot the ball very well. They rarely make mistakes. So to me, it's going to come down to Michigan's bigs getting into the pressure of Florida State. Florida State can play really, really well. They shoot the 3 very, very well in the ACC. They shot over 40% from in the ACC from 3. So to me, it's going to come down to which team can execute in the pressure moments in the second half. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be really close. And I ultimately think that Florida State is going to pull off the upset. I'm going with FSU over Michigan. I don't think Michigan's going to have Isaiah Livers. I just think that if Brown did what he did last night against LSU, then I think Michigan will win this game. But everybody from Michigan has to step up. I mean, Hunter Dickinson has to be engaged in this game. Everybody from Michigan has to play well. And if Hunter Dickinson is not making buckets for Michigan, I don't see how Michigan's going to slow down Florida State, because Florida State is a really good defensive team in the ACC. Like I said, they have size. They can overwhelm you, and they did that to Colorado yesterday. In that game yesterday, Colorado struggled shooting the basketball in the first half, and they could not recover. Colorado was held to their season low all season long. Yesterday, they were held to 18. They were held to 20 points below the season average in the Pac-12, and they shot nearly 30% from the field in the first half yesterday. So Florida State is going to have to do the same thing against Michigan if they're going to pull off the upset. So that's Sunday at 5 on CBS, Michigan and Florida State. Check that out. Then you have 2 games to wrap up the Sweet 16 slate, and then it'll come down to the Elite Eight. You'll have UCLA against Alabama, the 2 seed, and then you have a Pac-12 battle to wrap up the Sweet 16 weekend on Sunday with a match between Oregon and USC. So the 7-seeded Oregon Ducks will play the 6-seeded USC Trojans out of Pac-12. So this should be a phenomenal matchup. One Pac-12 team is going to the Elite Eight. This is what we know. You're going to have either going to have an Oregon UCLA matchup, or you can have a USC Alabama type battle in the Elite Eight. So we'll see what happens with that game. To me, it's all about what USC has to be able to do against Oregon. So you got to be sure, if you're USC, that the Mobley brothers are effective early in this game. The way they shot the ball yesterday against Kansas yesterday, they were unbelievable. Kansas had no answer yesterday. And I picked USC to pull up the upset yesterday. And so I was right on the money. Like I said, USC was just so good yesterday. Kansas had no answer for them. They couldn't even defend the Mobley brothers. They couldn't defend the 3. And Kansas really struggled. They're not, they weren't at full strength. I guess COVID must have played a role in that, unfortunately, for Bill Self and Kansas. So right now, to me, I think USC is for real. Oregon better be careful, because they played each other before in the Pac-12, so they know each other, familiar. So we will see who ends up going to the Elite Eight. I can tell you this. I'm picking the Trojans to beat the Ducks. I think USC will be able to neutralize Chris Duarte. They'll be able to neutralize the shooters for Oregon. And I just think that USC with the Mobley bros will do damage, because USC has size. To me, USC three-point shooting is going to be key against Oregon. If they can make three-pointers in this contest against Oregon on Sunday, I see USC moving on to the Elite Eight. So I'm taking USC over Oregon and UCLA and Alabama. I hate to ruin UCLA's run, but it's going to come to an end against Alabama, because Alabama is so good offensively. They're so good defensively. They're engaged. You got Jalen Shackelford. You got Ellis for Alabama. You have John Petty. You have Joshua Primo, the transfer. You have Javon Quinterly, the transfer from Villanova. Alabama is so deep. Their depth is unbelievable. The way they shoot the three-point shot, they're so good when they shoot threes. And Nate Oates has done a tremendous job for Alabama, so I'm taking Alabama over UCLA. As much as Mick Cronin's team has done a tremendous job in this run, it's going to come to an end against Alabama, because to me it's going to be really interesting to see. UCLA does not have size. And that's what I think is going to hurt UCLA in this game on Sunday against Alabama. You don't have size to defend those monsters of Alabama, and Ellis and Petty and Shackelford and Quinterly and all these players that I named. They can shoot the lights out from 3. So to me, Alabama's going to survive against UCLA. It's going to be really close, but I'm taking Alabama to survive in this one. So it'll be USC against Alabama in the Elite Eight. And I'm taking Florida State over Michigan. and I'm taking Gonzaga over Creighton. I just think Creighton's run is going to come to an end on Sunday. So I'm going to say Gonzaga will play Florida State, and I think Gonzaga is going to advance over Florida State. Like I said, Florida State, great season in the ACC, but at times I'm worried about Florida State's turnovers. They turn them over a lot. So they did that against Georgia Tech in the ACC title game. They can't do that against Michigan, turn the ball over. To me, in this game between Florida State and Michigan on Sunday, it's going to be who can take care of the basketball. That to me is going to be the team that wins this game and moves on to the Elite Eight. If you can take care of the basketball, you can make timely buckets when you need to in this game. That's going to be the team to me that's going to win this matchup, and I'm going Florida State because of their size. And I just don't think Michigan has enough. In my opinion, Michigan does not have enough to slow down Florida State. You can try to stop them from shooting threes. You can defend them on the blocks, but to me, it's going to be transition defense going to be key in this matchup. And I'm going Florida State over Michigan. Because to me, like I said, Michigan does not have Isaiah Livers, and if he does not play in this matchup, I don't see how Michigan wins this game. Even though they have Hunter Dickinson, he's a really good player. They got Franz Wagner to me, but I am still going Florida State because Florida State's size. They have Kokovica, they have Scotty Barnes, they have MJ Walker. If Florida State can shoot the way that they've been shooting in this tournament, I know they haven't been shooting the three well, but they can do that on Sunday, then I think Michigan is in a tremendous amount of trouble. So I think Florida State is going to beat Michigan on Sunday. So like I said, you guys will go over the matchups again, and we'll go over the scores from yesterday as well. So Oregon defeated Iowa by 15 yesterday, 95-80. Luka Garza's final game as a member of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Great career. His number's going to be retired in Iowa, so nobody's going to be wearing that 55 number anymore. So that number's retired at the University of Iowa. So phenomenal career by Luka Garza. 36 points yesterday, but in the end, Oregon was just too much for the Hawkeyes to overcome, and Oregon wins by 15 over Iowa. Oklahoma gave it a great shot against Gonzaga yesterday. They led by 8 in the first half, but in the second half, Gonzaga was just too much. So the Zags win by 16, 87-71. UCLA ended Abilene Christian's run, winning by 20 over the Abilene Christian Wildcats from the South Atlantic Conference. The Ohio Bobcats run came to an end yesterday, unfortunately, losing to Creighton out of the Big East by 14, 72-58. Michigan beats LSU in a great battle yesterday in this one. Michigan wins by 8, 86-78. Florida State advancing to the Sweet 16 with a victory over Colorado by 18, 71-53. Alabama blows out Maryland 96-77. And USC blows out Kansas by 34, 85-51. USC shot 12 for 16 from 3 yesterday against Kansas's really good defense. And USC just shot the lights out from 3 yesterday. So the Mobley brothers did what they had to do. Charles Edey didn't really have to do too much for USC as they won by 34. Like I said, you guys, the Mobley brothers were unbelievable. The way they played last night against Kansas, that tells me Oregon better be careful because you got the two-headed monsters of the Mobley brothers for SC. So Oregon and SC will play each other in the Sweet 16. We will go over those matchups again with you guys now. So Saturday, we'll start the Sweet 16 on CBS at 2:40 with Oregon State, the 12th seed from the Pac-12. They'll take on Loyola Chicago from the Valley. The 12-8 matchup, Oregon State, the Beavers, Loyola Chicago, the Ramblers, 2:40 on CBS. This is Saturday now. We're talking Saturday games in the Sweet 16. 5:15 on Saturday afternoon, Villanova will play the number 1 seeded Baylor Bears from the South region. So Baylor and Villanova from the South at 5:15 on CBS. Then on TBS on Saturday night, 7:25, the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles from the Summit League will play the Arkansas Razorbacks from the SEC That matchup will start at 7:25 over on TBS. And then to wrap up the Saturday Sweet 16 slate, it'll be the 11th seed Syracuse Orange taking on the Houston Cougars and Kelvin Sampson. So Houston and Syracuse, 9:55 on TBS. That's your Saturday slate in the Sweet 16. Now we move to Sunday. These are the two matchups that are going to be happening on Sunday in the Sweet 16 round. Creighton out of the Big East will try to knock off the top-seeded Gonzaga Bulldogs and make themselves their first loss of the season. So Creighton will play Gonzaga on Sunday at 2:10 on CBS. Then, to wrap up the slate on CBS will be Florida State and Michigan, the 4 versus 1 on Sunday. And then the nightcap in the Sweet 16 to wrap up the weekend in the Sweet 16, UCLA and Alabama, followed by Oregon and USC. First is UCLA, Alabama, followed by Oregon and USC. You have Pac-12 teams in this tournament. They're undefeated. Pac-12 is undefeated in this tournament at 9-0. They're undefeated. They have not lost in this tournament so far. But somebody in the Pac-12's run is going to come to an end on Sunday. Maybe Oregon State's run may come to an end. UCLA's run may come to an end. And you're going to be down to one Pac-12 team left when it's all said and done. We'll see if the Pac-12 can continue this undefeated run in this tournament. Like I said, you guys, the Pac-12 in this NCAA tournament is 9-0. They have not lost in the NCAA tournament so far. We'll find out this weekend in the Sweet 16 if these Pac-12 schools can keep their run going. I think one of these teams will. I think Oregon State's run's going to come to an end against Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago is just too good, too talented. They're not going to be intimidated by the Beavers. I don't think the Beavers are going to be intimidated by Loyola Chicago, but we'll see. And UCLA and Alabama, I don't think UCLA is going to be intimidated by Alabama, but at the same time, Alabama is just too good, too talented. They have too much depth. They have too much size. UCLA's size is going to hurt them. And I think UCLA is going to turn the ball over a lot. To me, they have to be effective in this situation. UCLA can be effective against Alabama, then I think it can be an interesting game. But it will be interesting. But to me, like I said, Alabama is just too good, too talented. UCLA side is going to affect them. And I just don't think UCLA is going to make enough shots in the end to slow down Alabama. So Alabama is going to win. Oregon, USC, I am taking the USC Trojans over Oregon. I said it. I'm taking USC over Oregon. Too much size for USC. They have size. They have depth. The Mobley Bros are going to be effective, and I just don't see what Oregon can do to try and neutralize them. So I'm taking USC over Oregon, and then the Elite Eight will be Monday, March 29th, and then Tuesday, March 30th, and then the Final Four, the national semifinals, will take place on April 3rd. In Indianapolis, Indiana. The national championship game will take place on Monday, April 5th on CBS. I repeat, national semifinal games will be on April 3rd in Indianapolis, Indiana on CBS, and then the national championship game will be on Monday, April 5th. The Elite Eight will be Monday, March 29th, and Tuesday, March 30th. Those will be the Elite Eight games. So we will find out after this weekend of the Sweet 16, we will find out who advances. With that said, you guys, I'm going to move over now to the NBA. We'll do some highlights from that, and we'll do a recap from last night's NBA action as well. So I'll run down through these one more time for you guys so you guys know what I'm talking about. So we will run down through these, through the scores from last night in the NBA. So bear with me. Give me a few moments. So last night in the NBA, guys, we had some great matchups last night in the NBA. So let's get that underway, and then we'll give you the sports menu for today as well. So let's get started with last night's action here. So The Kings defeat the Cavaliers by 14. The Thunder defeat the Timberwolves by 9. The Hornets beat the Spurs by 3. The Bulls get blown out by the Jazz 120-95. The Rockets snapped their 20-game losing streak with a victory over the Raptors at home 117-99. The Grizzlies and Celtics in an overtime battle. Grizzlies survived by 6, 132-126. The Bucks blow out the Pacers 140-113. And the Clippers came back from a 22-point deficit last night against the Atlanta Hawks at home, winning by 9, 119-110. Once again, we'll run down these scores one more time for you guys. The Kings defeat the Cavaliers 119-105. The Thunder defeat the Timberwolves 112-103. The Hornets defeat the Spurs 100-97. The Jazz blow out the Bulls 120-95. The Rockets snapped their 20-game losing streak at home with a 117-99 victory over the Raptors. The Raptors are struggling as well, too. The Grizzlies beat the Celtics in overtime by 6, 132-126 in overtime. The Bucks blow out the Pacers at home 140-113. And the Clippers come back from a 22-point deficit to beat the Hawks by 9, 119-110. The Clippers trailed by 22 points in the third quarter. That's right, you guys. The Clippers came back from down 22 last night in the third quarter. They were down by as many as 22 in this third quarter. They came back, they took the lead, and they never looked back. They won this game by 9 after being down by 22 points in the third quarter last night at home against the Atlanta Hawks. So the Clippers won the game by 9, 119-110. And we will do some hockey scores as well for you guys. So bear with me on that. In the National Hockey League last night, and then we'll get to the sports menu for the day, and then we will wrap this up. So let's get to the games from last night, and then we'll get to the games for this evening in hockey. The Rangers defeat the Sabres by 2 goals, 5-3. The Hurricanes shut out the Blue Jackets 3-0. The Senators beat the Flames 2-1. The Islanders beat the Flyers in overtime 2-1. The Wild defeat the Ducks 2-1. The Jets defeat the Canucks in a shutout 4-0. The Avalanche defeat the Coyotes 5-1. And the Golden Knights defeat the Blues 5-1. And finally, the Sharks defeat the Kings 2-1. Once again, I'll run down these scores one more time. The Sabres lose to the Rangers in the Garden 5-3. The Hurricanes shut out the Blue Jackets 3-0. The Senators beat the Flames 2-1. The Islanders beat the Flyers in overtime 2-1 on the road. The Wild defeat the Ducks at home 2-1. The Canucks were shut out by the Jets 4-0. The Avalanche defeat the Coyotes 5-1. The Golden Knights defeat the Blues 5-1, and the Sharks defeat the Kings 2-1. Now, we will run down the slate of hockey games tonight in the National Hockey League. We will start on NBCSN at 7 o'clock with the Flyers and the Devils on NBCSN at 7 Eastern. The Panthers will travel to the United Center to take on the Blackhawks. The Red Wings will take on Predators from Nashville, Bridgestone Arena. The Lightning will take on the Dallas Stars from American Airlines Center in Dallas. And to wrap up the NHL slate tonight, the Avalanche will play the Coyotes once again from Arizona. So once again, we'll run down these games tonight in the NHL. The Devils take on the Flyers on NBCSN at 7. The Panthers will play the Blackhawks from the United Center in Chicago. The Red Wings will play the Predators from Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. The Lightning, the defending Stanley Cup champions, will play the Dallas Stars from American Airlines Center in Dallas. And finally, the Avalanche will play again to the Coyotes from Arizona. So that's your NHL slate tonight. Let's look at the NBA slate on your Tuesday. So on tonight's docket in the NBA, we will start with the Nuggets playing the Magic from Amway Arena in Orlando. The Wizards will play the Knicks from the Garden at 7:30. The Lakers will take on the Pelicans minus LeBron at 7:30 from New Orleans on TNT. It's an NBA Tuesday doubleheader. The Heat will play the Suns at home from American Airlines Arena in Miami. The Sixers will play the Warriors as the Sixers will start their West Coast trip. They will start out tonight in San Francisco at Chase Center as they take on Steph Curry and the Warriors. NBA Tuesday on TNT, that's going to start at 10 o'clock, following Pelicans and Lakers from New Orleans. So it's NBA Tuesday tonight on TNT, presented by State Farm. First, Lakers and Pelicans, followed by the Sixers and the Warriors from Chase Center in San Francisco. And to wrap up tonight, the Brooklyn Nets will start their Western Conference road trip as they play host to Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and the Portland Trailblazers from Portland. So once again, we will run down the slate of games in the NBA tonight as you guys are listening on my YouTube channel, Sportscast39, doing the sports report today. So here we go. Nuggets and Magic at 7 from Orlando. Wizards and Knicks from the Garden at 7:30. Lakers and Pelicans from New Orleans at 7:30 on TNT. Suns and Heat from Miami at 8 o'clock tonight. The Sixers will take on the Warriors at 10 from Chase Center in San Francisco on TNT. It's an NBA Tuesday doubleheader. And finally, the Nets will take on the Trailblazers from Portland at 10 o'clock Eastern Time as the Nets will start their Western Conference road trip starting tonight with a game against Portland. Then they play tomorrow night against the Jazz at 10, which you can see that game on ESPN. It's a Wednesday night doubleheader. Should be a great doubleheader tomorrow night. You got the Celtics and the Bucks at 7:30 on ESPN, followed by the Nets and the Jazz from Salt Lake City, Utah. Once again, NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm starts tomorrow night at 7:30 with the Celtics and the Bucks from Milwaukee, followed by the Nets taking on the Jazz as the Jazz will play the Brooklyn Nets, the best team in the East against the best team in the West. We will see who wins this matchup tomorrow night from Utah. So once again, tomorrow night, NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm starts with the Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks from Milwaukee at 7:30, followed by the Brooklyn Nets and the Utah Jazz from Utah tomorrow night on ESPN. It's an NBA Wednesday double dip. So I will do the broadcast for both those games tomorrow night, so be on the lookout for that. I'm doing it tomorrow night on my YouTube channel, so tune in for that. I will be on my channel around 7 o'clock, and you guys set for this matchup between the Bucks and the Celtics. It's NBA Wednesday doubleheader on ESPN, followed by the Brooklyn Nets against the Utah Jazz from Salt Lake City, Utah, as the Jazz look to continue their winning ways at home against the Brooklyn Nets. And just so you guys know, Kyrie Irving will not be playing the Brooklyn Nets next 3 games. He's dealing with a personal family matter right now, so he will not be playing in the next 3 games for the Brooklyn Nets. So Kyrie Irving will not be playing in the next 3 games for the Brooklyn Nets on their West Coast trip. So he'll be dealing with family issues as I'm mentioning right now. So Kyrie Irving will not be playing for the Brooklyn Nets in their next 3 games on the road out west. So he will rejoin the team after the 3 games. So, like I said, Kyrie Irving will not be playing in the Nets 3 games coming up on their West Coast trip starting tonight in Portland and also tomorrow with the Jazz and a back-to-back for the Brooklyn Nets. So, guys, we will run down these games one more time. So, tonight in the NBA, you have the Nuggets and the Magic, followed by the Wizards and the Knicks, the Lakers Pelicans, the Suns Heat, the Sixers Warriors, and the Nets Trailblazers. We'll run down the hockey games as well for you guys again, just so you understand the games that are going on tonight in the National Hockey League. You got the Devils Flyers, Panthers Blackhawks, Red Wings Predators, Lightning Stars, and the Avalanche playing the Coyotes once again from Arizona. So I'll run down these games again for you guys. So you got the Devils Flyers, Panthers Blackhawks, Red Wings Predators, Lightning Stars, Avalanche, and Coyotes to wrap up the Tuesday slate in the National Hockey League. Again, we'll go to the NBA, and then we will dive into the Sweet 16 matches for you again, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. Okay? So we have Nuggets, Magic at 7, Wizards Knicks 7:30. Lakers Pelicans at 7:30 on TNT. You can catch that game. It's NBA Tuesday. It's doubleheader. Suns and Heat from Miami at 8 o'clock. Sixers and Warriors at 10 o'clock from Chase Center and San Fran. And lastly, the Nets take on the Portland Trailblazers from Portland as the Brooklyn night in Portland, followed by a game tomorrow night in Utah against the Jazz on ESPN, which you can see it's going to be preceded by the Celtics and the Bucks from Milwaukee. I repeat, tomorrow night, if you want to see the Brooklyn Nets and the Utah Jazz, it's at 10 o'clock on ESPN. It's preceded by the Celtics taking on the Milwaukee Bucks from Milwaukee. It's an NBA Wednesday doubleheader tomorrow night. So tune in for the Jazz and the Nets at 10 o'clock. But before that game, tune into the Celtics and the Bucks tomorrow night, 7:30 on ESPN, followed by the Jazz and the Nets from Salt Lake City, Utah. And then tonight on TNT, it's the Lakers and Pelicans at 7:30, followed by the Sixers taking on the Warriors at 10 from Chase Center in San Francisco. And now we are going to run down the NCAA basketball Sweet 16 for you guys as well. Let's move this over a little bit. Let's find the NCAA. Thank you very much. And here we go. So, Sportscast 39, continuing on. We will recap the scores one more time for you guys. Oregon moves on to the Sweet 16 with a 15-point win over Iowa. Gonzaga, the 1 seed in the West, they move on with a 16-point win over Oklahoma. UCLA will move on in the East region to the Sweet 16 with a 20-point victory over Abilene Christian. The Wildcats from the Southland Conference. Creighton ends Ohio's run. They win this game by 14, 72-58. They'll move on to the Sweet 16 where they'll play Gonzaga. Michigan moves on to the Sweet 16. They'll play Florida State with an 8-point win, 86-78. Florida State is on to the Sweet 16 against Michigan with an 18-point victory over Colorado, 71-53. Alabama moves on to the Sweet 16. They'll play UCLA as they blew out Maryland, 96-77. And to wrap up last night in the second round, the USC Trojans blow out the Kansas Jayhawks, giving the Kansas Jayhawks their worst loss ever in the NCAA tournament, 85-51. They won this game by 34. I repeat, you guys, Kansas loses this game by 34 over USC last night. They got blown out. They struggled in that first half. They were down. They only had 19 points in that first half, and Kansas just could not recover. They could not make shots